Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
We're here with Next Level Coaching today, and today we're going to talk about negotiation. Matt, if you want to get us started.
Right. Yeah. No. Welcome, everybody. First, I want to just put a shout out for anybody in the Kansas City area. We have the Exponential Growth Summit here in Kansas City tomorrow, April 18th at the Hy-Vee Arena, starting promptly at 2 o'clock. So get there early. Miss Sheila right here will take the stage right at 2 o'clock, and we're going to get started. So we've got 5 great speakers all coming. So get online, go to xgsummit.com and register. We'd prefer you register ahead of time, but if you forget, just show up. We've got close to 500 people registered already. We've got room for about 100 more. So get in there ahead of time and register. So start with that. Then jumping into today's call, I've got Shannon, Sheila here, and we're going to talk about, just basic negotiations. We kind of had this idea. I've got a couple different mentees that I'm mentoring right now that are brand new into real estate. And, I guess being in the business a while, you don't realize, the importance of negotiation, and it kind of becomes second nature until you see other people negotiating or not even trying to negotiate, but just scared of the process, right? Just scared to talk to maybe another agent or what do I do? So I just want to dive into that and go through, what we all do, some points that we make sure that we do every time. And then, how to, go into and be a good negotiation for your client. I mean, to me, our number one job is to be a fiduciary, right? We need to work on our client's behalf. And that's our number one goal. If it's the buy side, it's to get them the best price possible in the time frame that they want and get them, the best property possible. So I really see that there's always 2 negotiations, sometimes 3 in every real estate deal. And then on the sell side, it's, you have to, your goal is to get them the highest price possible in the time frame that they want with, the least amount of hassles, right? So I was going to kind of open it up. Whoever wants to speak first on kind of what's the first step. I don't know if we want to break it down on buy side or sell side, or just kind of go into, what are some key points that you guys do on every negotiation to be a good fiduciary for your client. So.
Normally the big thing with negotiation is understanding that it has to be a win-win, because sometimes when you have people that you're negotiating with, especially younger, newer agents, you can usually tell if they've never been in the business for a period of time, because they come at you very aggressive, like they're trying to pummel you or, get over on you or whatever. But understanding that we're all working together towards a common goal, towards a common, event of closing this house, whichever side you're on.
Right.
And it has to be a give and a take, because nobody wants to feel like they're completely taken advantage of. Everybody wants to feel like they are getting as well as giving. And so when you come into that mindset with a collaborative win-win negotiation, that's the first point, is really to come in with that attitude.
Yeah, mindset is key. I think, also seeking to understand, right? So seeking and asking a lot of questions. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, well, I didn't think they were allowed to tell me that, right? Because I was coaching them on how to negotiate with this other agent. I said, yeah, but it doesn't hurt to ask, right? Yeah, they're not supposed to tell you that, but they, and I found in most cases they will, or they'll hem-haw around it where you can get information that will make it more successful. This was even before we were writing the offer. It's like, call up the other agent and just ask them when their clients what would be the best date for their clients to close on the property, right? I know your clients want to close very quickly, but they may have a house under construction. They may be moving out of town and they're waiting on a job transfer. They may want a 90-day close instead of a 45-day close. And if you can use that in your negotiations, and you may not want to use that right away, but it's a tool in your shed, an arsenal in your pocket, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, go in there, and what I would say is before you write an offer at all, call the agent and ask a bunch of questions, right? Ask them, what's the lowest price your client will take? Straight up. Sometimes they'll be like, well, they just told me today that they'd knock it down another 10,000. I mean, and if you were only going to go in at 5, you've got another 5,000 in negotiation room. But you have to ask to get, right? ASK to GET. You have to ask to get. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? So,
well, I think going along with that, Matt, is that the whole point, everybody, is that you're going in trying to collect data. So what Matt's talking about is you're calling the other agent before you write an offer, and think about framing. You're going to frame your negotiation. So when you're framing something, it's what are the key points that can be negotiated? What are the things that can be discussed? It's not just the sales price. Think about, where are they at, or what's their opinion about the survey, about the home warranty, about the closing costs? Are they interested in moving all their furniture? Are they interested in negotiating, leaving any of the furniture? Negotiation on the time frame, like what Matt was talking about, of where are they going? When do they need to be there? Because the other thing is, you can find out a lot about someone when you find out, okay, well, they are building a new house and the new house is going to be done on this date, so they have to be out by this date. Or I have some people right now, they're moving, he got promoted as a principal, so they're moving to West Texas. And they said, we don't want to move before I have to go. I want to be gone before the house sells. So when you know that going in, if you're representing the buyer, then that way you're preparing the deal based on how it's going to set up the best way to help your deal be accepted.
Right.
And framing it that way. Go ahead, Sheila.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that agents make, and I watch them do it all the time, is they assume that price is everything.
Right.
Okay. I mean, no, I mean, it's always, it's okay. Well, I've got to negotiate the price. Well, you don't know if the price is more important or the terms are more important to your seller. I've got sellers that have told me, hey, look, if I could get moved within 20 days because of this job, then I'm willing to sell it for $20,000 below asking price. Okay. Right. So it's not always price, but new agents especially, I see this a lot. They automatically assume that it is the price tag that is negotiated and nothing more. And that couldn't be further from the truth. This all goes back to when you're sitting down with your seller at the kitchen table, you want to find out as much information from them. You want to find out what is their hot spot, what is their motivation. And if their motivation is, I've got to be at my new job, or my kids have got to be in this school by September 1st, that trumps price.
Right. Yeah, and I think terms is always more important in negotiation than price. I mean, it can get you more money. I mean, and so some of the questions to ask, I mean, going in, asking, let's say we're working on the buy side, you want to ask, do the sellers have extra funds to, make any repairs if found on in the inspection, right? And they may say right off, no, they're not going to do anything. Well, they will. Right. Especially maybe if it's an FHA deal or something like that, they will, are they leaving, what are they willing to leave in the property? Right. And if you have all this, you don't have to use it and write it up in your offer. But the more you ask, and it's going to start the agent thinking, oh, man, they're going to ask for a ton of stuff. And then if you don't come in and ask for a lot of stuff, right, then they're like, oh, well, yeah, this is a pretty good offer. But also remember, and so I'm gonna caveat with this on the buying side and the selling side. On the buying side, you get to negotiate twice, right? You do your initial negotiations, and then you have your inspections. And you can always negotiate after inspections. Even if you sign something that says I'm accepting it as is, you can still negotiate, right? With that said, on the seller side, that's why I have every listing of mine do an inspection ahead of time, because I'm going to narrow that gap of the negotiations on the second part down. If they do an inspection before they list the property, because an inspector is going to find something wrong. I don't care if it's a brand new house and just passed code and everything, inspector goes in there, they're going to find something wrong. And if you as a seller go in there and redo those repairs ahead of time, then your negotiations, your level of negotiation goes way up, because you can say, yeah, we already did a inspection, right? So, and here's what we found wrong. And guess what? We fixed everything on that list, right? A lot of times when I do that, I won't even have the buyer's agent or the buyers do another inspection on the property, because I'll show them that we repaired everything and it's from a reputable, home inspector. And then that saves them thousands of dollars on the renegotiation, right? Because put your mindset of the seller. They get it under contract, they get it sold, right? Finally, we got it sold. They're mentally packing, right? They're packing everything in their house. They're ready to go. Now they're already looking at other homes. Now maybe they found one before the inspections have been done, and they're excited about their next home. And then boom, something comes up on the inspection that costs $300. Well, the other agent comes in and wants to drop the price by another $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. That just costs them. And they're so, let's just get it done. We don't want to lose our next house, So mentally, they're not in as strong a position to negotiate as they were in the beginning. So just a couple caveats. So what are some other things that you guys do? So we've got mindset. We've got, ask a lot of questions from the other agents, I guess. And a lot of this is going to depend on the type of market you're in, whether it's a seller's market or buyer's market, and whether you're representing a buyer or seller. But let's say, do you guys go in? Do you suggest lowballing? What are some of the techniques? Do you go way low on price? What do you guys do?
I think you have to set up if you're working with a buyer, you have to set up your buyer's expectations, right? Because if you're, for instance, like right now, we're in a seller's market, okay, or at least we are here. And so, if you're working with a buyer, you need to go in and let that buyer know, okay, look, this is not 2009 when there were, 200 foreclosures to choose from, right? So, you've got a select number of properties that are on the market. And so if you find one that you really, really like, I want to negotiate on your behalf the best I possibly can, but you've got to imagine in your mind, there are, 20, 30, 50, 100 other people that are interested in this exact same property, probably, right? If there's a low inventory. And so you've got to get their mindset of, okay, look, you're not going to come in and get $20,000 off the price plus $5,000 to $10,000 in closing costs to be able to pay your mortgage down, right? So, you have to set up your buyer's expectations. And I see this a lot, again, not picking on new agents, but I see this a lot with inexperienced agents where, they'll get a buyer and their buyer says something to the effect of, well, my uncle bought a house in, 2008, 2009, whatever. And all the, and he said that if I don't get $20,000 off and get, $10,000 for closing costs, then I'm not getting a good deal. Well, you got to understand it is market driven. So everything is based upon the market. Okay. And if you're in a buyer's market, maybe you can get away with that kind of stuff. If there's more inventory out there, okay, you're all right. But if it's slim inventory, like pretty much is what it is across the nation right now, you're going to have a hard time with that. And I believe setting up expectations is essential.
Right. And with that being said, I mean, even in a buyer's market, any good listing, good, solid, cared for listing that's priced decent is a good deal, right? I mean, so you have to prepare them for that. You're not gonna do that. So, but going in, and I don't know if we want to talk about, because I think I know we're still in a huge seller's market here. We kind of evened out for a while during the winter, but now that spring's hit, it's definitely a seller's market. So what are you guys doing to, okay, maybe Sheila on the seller side, to negotiate to get a higher price, I guess? And some of that starts with actually pricing the home right, to make sure that maybe you can get an auction mentality and bid it up. But what things are you doing for your sellers to negotiate the best price and terms for them?
Well, like you said, you want to price it right. I mean, understanding that appraisers have a range that they can go above market percentage-wise based on the condition of the property. So it depends on how good the property looks.
Right.
We do staging meetings with people where I go room by room and tell them exactly what to do, what to move, what to clear out, where I tell them exactly where to put their furniture. We talk about the condition of the property, whether things need to be painted, floor needs to be replaced, or what needs to happen, so that before I go on the market with someone, it looks like a model home. Because the first job is to make sure it looks drop dead gorgeous, so that you are setting them up to make sure that you're going to get multiple offers, or you're going to get people who really will just do anything to have the property. So that's step one, is just the actual condition of the property. And then what you can do is you can figure out, based on what the comparables are, or based on what an appraiser is going to price it at, then you can calculate the differences of what they've done compared to other people in order to inch the price up, so that you could still have it appraised, but yet you're getting top dollar for people. And then ultimately, what we do when we release a property is we release it as a coming soon, and then ramp up that entire week to for an open house on the weekend, because that way the day it hits the market, it's an open house, and I'm going to drive, on average, I'll get 50 to 80 people through an open house because of my marketing and the things that I do. And then ultimately, when you have all those people in the house and they hear each other talking about how great the property is, and they hear other people talking about putting in an offer, then you start seeing multiple offers higher, because people are trying to compete against each other.
Right. So let's say you don't have multiple offers, right? Let's say you're getting your first offer and they come in and, somebody lowballs, right, on the first, and you've got the seller, you've done it's priced right. Are you suggesting your sellers stick strong? How are you communicating with the buyer's agent? Again, we probably asked the buyer's agent a bunch of questions about their buyer, right? So, how are you going in and communicating with the agent on how, are you saying we're not moving? We've only been on the market 2 weeks, or how are you doing that?
I just had that happen because I had a younger agent trying to bully my seller and try to basically take advantage of what they felt the situation was. We had only been on the market for a couple of days. She had redone her entire property. It was drop dead gorgeous. And the comps proved a certain number. And I had a lot of data backing that number up, especially because the data that I had, the houses weren't as nice as hers in the same neighborhood for that price.
Right.
So she priced it at market, even though she could have gone higher because of her condition. So the price was really, really fair. And so when the agent came in really low, the first thing I did was call the seller and say, okay, we need to talk about this, because, I know you want to move fast, because she was relocating to another market. And I said, you have to decide whether you want to hold tight, or whether you want to move forward with negotiating on this one, or just not even countering it because of how low it is. And basically what we did was we countered back just a few thousand below list to try to lock it up and be done with it for her. And I just gave him the comps. I said, this house, this house, this house, this house, these are the comps, these are the numbers. There's no way we're moving off of this number besides what we're offering you. We'll just sit and wait for somebody to give us list or higher. And so they were smart, and they took it, and then it appraised for over because of her condition. And so the buyer was really happy because they feel like they got a deal.
Well, and if I could chime in, that actually it kind of goes along with this too. Now, it depends upon where you're at. But if you have a property that is a unique property, and I hear people tell me all this all the time with, how did you get comps? How did you get comps? Where did you get comps? Right. So what I do is if I have a unique property that isn't in a cookie cutter neighborhood, quote unquote, right? Your typical HOA, $200,000, Ryan home sort of thing, right? If it's a unique property, it has more land, it has a pool, it has whatever it may have that makes it unique. I immediately, when I go to sit down with the seller, if I can't find comps, the first thing I do is I sit down with the seller, I go through my marketing plan, and I look at them and I say, look, you know what? There really are no comparables. Your house is very unique. So why don't we do this? Why don't we have an appraisal done before the home goes on the market? And when it closes, I will reimburse you for that amount. And so they seem pretty open to that, especially for unique properties. And then the good thing about it is, give you an example. We just got one recently where we just had the appraisal was done. We had someone come in, try to lowball us. And when they did, I immediately sent them the appraisal and said, hey, look, guys, we just had this appraised 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
And so now they immediately raised their purchase price up because they knew that the house was worth what we were asking. So I think if you're in a unique situation like that, I think a lot of agents, especially new agents, get lost in something like this. It's like, okay, well, I can't find comps, so I don't know what to do. The worst thing you can do is let the seller dictate the price. Okay.
Right.
I've had this happen where the seller said, oh, well, I'll just throw it on the market at this. No. We're going to have an appraiser come, and we're going to have some ammunition for this new buyer, because you never know who the other agent is. And if the other agent is a savvy agent, they're going to say, okay, well, look, you're $200,000 off here. What are you, on a pipe dream, sort of thing.
Well, and I think that goes back to, you have to know your market and know your numbers. Mm-hmm. I think there are, a lot of agents out there right now who don't know, and they don't know how to price, because we've been in such a good market that, a lot of agents have allowed their sellers to price the home, and they've been getting it, mm-hmm. right? Because we've been in such a seller's market. They're like, well, everything's sold in here for, 200, let's price it at 215. And then they do, and it sells, right? Because the market's been going up. That's going to change. That's going to change, right after the spring market, I think, where it's going to start not happening. We're going to start seeing, days on market go longer. So it's going to become more of an issue, but that's kind of off the subject. So,
well, to Shannon's point, because I do what you both do together. So I'll go in with people and say, why don't we do a home inspection up front? Let's fix everything that's $500 or more. Let's get an appraisal done to make sure we know that you're in a position of power of knowing exactly what your property's worth. Now, you can decide whether to share that online through the MLS to let the other agents know what it appraised for, or if you don't like the appraisal, we can actually not share it, just so that you know where it came in. And then we can also list it as a certified pre-owned home. Mm-hmm. And that way you're marketing it in a different way. So it's more like marketing a Mercedes that is higher priced because it has a home warranty, or it has a warranty on it, and it's already had everything fixed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it gives you another way to market the house as well when you say that. But the appraisal thing on unique properties can be an issue. If you don't get an appraisal, it makes it very hard to be able to list the property and make sure you can ensure the highest price for the person.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's kind of recap. So make sure, you have the right mindset going in, that it's a win-win. We're not trying to screw anybody. That's not the whole point of our job. As brokers and agents, our primary job is to bring buyers and sellers together to reach an agreement and sell the real estate and broker that deal. So in that, we definitely want to be the fiduciary and work on our client's best interest. And, I always tell people that, and newer agents, it's, if you ever get in doubt, just always go back in your mind and go, am I working in my client's best interest? Right. sometimes their best interest is to pay more money, right? If your client, if they've searched for, you know, and they've made offers on 5 homes and they have to be in somewhere in 45 days or in 30 days, it may be in your client's best interest to pay more money for the house than you think it is worth. Mm-hmm. But you have to have that discussion. Now, be honest about that with them and say, hey, here's what's going to have to happen. We are going to have to pay more than list price, and we may have to pay more than market value if you want to get into your house. What's more important, the price or your sanity? And over time, you know, you plan on staying here for the next 30 years, you're going to make up that difference over the next 30 years with appreciation. So again, educating them, but having that mindset, going in, asking a lot of questions to the other agent, and ask questions that they're not supposed to answer, because you'll be surprised. Sometimes they will answer. I mean, and you can get as personal. The worst they're going to do is say, I can't tell you that, or no. But on the best case scenario, they're going to go, oh yeah, they only owe, you know, they got the house paid off, and you know, they just want to move. They want to move quick, and they're willing to take 20, 30,000 less. And I mean, you'd be surprised what some agents will actually tell you if you just ask, right? And so it sets you up to go in and negotiate on your client's behalf.
The other thing, Matt, I want to point out, if I can jump in here, is that think about, from like the seller side, if you get an offer and the offer's not good, or if you want to counter, or if you get into a point where you want to go back for something, go backwards. So I'll negotiate backwards. So let's say my seller wants to raise the sales price by 10,000 because they gave a lower offer, and they want to change the days for negotiating the inspection, you know, the period for home inspection or something like that. So what I do is I go backwards, and I'll say, okay, so the seller, you know, appreciates your offer. Always think about how you can compliment the other agent, how you can build the other agent up, how you can help the other agent know you appreciate them and that you want to work with them. And I'll say, we really appreciate your offer. You did a really good job putting this together. I talked through it with the seller, and she's willing to accept your closing date. She's willing to pay your survey. She doesn't have a problem fixing it if we need to amend it. And so I'll start listing the positives or the things that my seller agrees to. And then I'll leave to the end the changes. And I'll say, there are only a couple of things that we just need to tweak a little bit so that we can make this work. So she needs to stay in the property until this date. So if we can just change the closing date by a couple days, that way we can you know, get to a date where she can get out of the property. And then usually if it's the sales price big difference, I leave that till the end. So by that point, I've been complimenting them. I've been telling them how much we appreciate them. I've been telling them what a good job they've done, put the offer together. And then my last point is, so the only other thing that we need to change is my seller, if we can meet halfway, and if you guys can come up, we're willing to come down to whatever, 240 or whatever. If you guys can come up, that way we can work together and get this thing done. So right. I don't make it an aggressive, you know, you're offering too low and we're not doing this, you know, kind of attacking them. It needs to be a backwards process where you're complimenting, you're building them up, you're building relationship, you're saying the positives of the things your seller will do. So you're listing the things the seller will do, so that by the time you get to the thing that they want to tweak or change or won't do, that it's at the end and you've already built this relationship with them through the process to build them up to that point. That's very, very effective when you negotiate with people.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I do the same exact thing. Build them up before you knock them down, right? So, and you know, that also goes to the importance on negotiation, on having good relationships with other agents, right? So I don't care. Everybody who's listening to this should be calling up other agents and saying, you know, whether they're with your company, another company, whatever, let's go have coffee. Let's just get to know each other, because it's so much easier negotiating a deal with somebody that you've had lunch with, coffee with, that you talk to, you know, and it doesn't have to be on a regular basis, but you know more about them than, oh, their name and they work for this company, right? If you've had coffee with them and you know that they have, you know, kids your kids' age and you just know more about them, it's going to make it go so much smoother. But I wanted to also add on to there, a lot of times, you know, I found, especially if I know it's a newer agent that I'm negotiating with, like you said, they want to come out and prove their negotiation. You know, I will tell them what to tell their client. I'll say, here's what you need to go tell your client. Here's how you need to state it. Because, you know, and I'll do the same thing. I'll build it up. I'll say, you know, tell them all the things that we're going to do. And then, because especially a new agent, you know, they just want to get the deal done. They just want to get the first deal under their belt, or they're only closing 4 deals a year. So they, you know, this is a big pay. So they just want to get it done. But they also, you know, they want to be the fiduciary. They just don't know how to negotiate on their client's best behalf. So I will tell them, right? And if you ask the questions, you know what their client's pain is. Right. Because it's like you said, most of the time it's not price. It's going to be something else. It's going to be, they can't do repairs, right? They're an older couple and they don't want to hire a contractor, and so they can't do the repairs. Okay, well, let's adjust the price. That's fine. I'll get people in there to do repairs, right? Or, you know, or even, and if you ask those questions, you can sometimes help them. Well, hey, I've got a handyman that can go fix this, and it'll only cost, you know, X instead of Y, because they got a bid for $300. I got somebody who can do it for $75, right? And they're like,
even if you have a bad property, you can do that. Because I had somebody that literally, they needed a new roof, they needed new AC, they needed foundation work done, they had a plumbing issue, and they needed a new hot water heater. I mean, literally, the property had a lot of problems. So all I did was line up all the contractors so that once we had the offer, we had an agreement that all the work would be done and all the contractors would get paid at closing. So the work was done prior to closing, but they all got paid at closing, so that way the person walked into a property that was finished. The seller only paid out of their closing because she had no money at all. She couldn't fix anything. But that way it was no money out of her pocket, but yet everything got fixed and all the contractors got paid.
Right. And the only way you know that is by asking the right question, because you didn't know if she had any equity in that property. You have to ask the questions, right? So, you know, that's the key is, so, you know, go in there, have the win-win. Shannon, you want to say something?
Yeah, I will say one thing. In today's society, you know, we live in a text-based, a email-based society, and there's a lot of agents out there that's the only way that they want to negotiate. Okay. Believe it or not, I've had deals where I could not get an agent on the phone. I tried my best. I just had to end up texting them the entire time. And so, guys, even though that's an easy form of communication, I'm putting this out there for all agents to hear. Spend 5 minutes on the phone with each other. Get to know each other a little bit more. Get to know what their client needs, know what your client needs, and you're not going to be able to do that very easily through a text message. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to happen. I mean, you can ask them, and you're not going to hear the inflection in their voice. You know, a lot of times, you know, if you say something, you go, "Oh, really?" You know, well, you're not going to see that. You're not going to hear that in a text message. Okay, so as convenient as it is, as awesome as it is to have a text message and email service and all that stuff, you know, I recommend, you know what, get on the phone with that agent, just 5 minutes if that's all it takes. But you've got to make that interaction. And I think just because that convenience is there, a lot of agents hide behind their text.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're at the end of our time today. We got to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate you all. We are Next Level Coaching. Please send us a message. Join us on Facebook. We love to help you guys, and we will talk to you all next week. Bye.
Here, guys.